Do you know what you want?
I have an idea.
Oh, man. Me too. Me too. And I've been spending some time. I may still actually be in it right now, but I'm spending some time getting clear about it. You know, like
Mhm.
what do I want for the next phase? Sometimes I don't even like to say the next year. I mean, I might start there,
Yeah.
but my years tend to have phases. You know,
Same. Yeah.
so what do I want for the next year? What do I want for this next phase?
I like that.
I noticed something is that uh, the results I'm looking for, what I say I want, is a little bit different than what I said I wanted 6 months ago, let's say. It's not wildly different, but it is different. And the one thing that I'm acutely aware of is if I want a different result, I actually have to do something different.
Fascinating.
Isn't that weird? I can't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result.
Mm.
Some people even say that's the definition of insanity.
It's also interesting how what you want evolves.
Yeah.
So 6 months ago, a year ago, I mean, I can't think of a single year where the previous year I wanted the same thing. Like it always changes or evolves in some way,
Yeah, and it may not be like
gets
some
more clear
right. And
too.
that's what I was going to say. It may not be some massive change like this whole
Mm-mm.
new direction, but maybe there's just more clarity. There's another level of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's never as linear and specific as we want it to be. It's a the universe and all this shit we're doing. Like it's very nuanced and complex, especially if you get in your own way,
Yeah.
which I often do.
Well, we all do. If we didn't, I wouldn't have a job.
So
I think
once
what I'm looking at right now is okay, great. If I want something different, and I know that to have a different result, I have to do things differently,
Mhm.
then what does that look like? Obviously, I don't really know, but what structures could I put in place that would have me do things a little differently? Now, I don't know what just happened to you when you heard the word structure. You probably like it.
I do.
Yeah. I have typically avoided that word, but now I'm over the last, decade, I've really started to embrace it because I can see how much it works for me and how much maybe I misunderstood it or used it inappropriately.
I have a question.
Yeah. Miles and I don't always do very well with discipline, consistency, and grinding our way through the creative process.
We're also tripped up with things like overwhelm, imposter syndrome, perfectionism, and lone wolf syndrome on a weekly basis, and it's not a good feeling.
So a couple of years ago, we created The Box to solve our own problem. The Box is a container and community for creatives to stay accountable, do the work, and actually finish what they started. We help you prioritize your projects and create a box around it.
We co-work twice a week for 90 minutes and support you in bringing projects to the finish line. It's not teaching you anything new. It's giving you the structure to focus and create with what you already have.
Because amazing things happen on the other side of finished. Come try it out and see how it feels at theboxcommunity.com.
When you say structure, what the hell are you talking about? Like what are you, Bill, thinking of when you say structure? Because I think definitions vary and
Yeah, they
context
do.
varies.
I think I don't know if I can define it in a sentence, but I could give you examples of it.
Yeah,
You know,
please. Example is
like
good.
it could be something as simple as I have a reminder on my phone that tells me what day I need to roll my trash cans down to the street. Because if I don't have that, I won't do it.
So
And
the
then the trash will get
structure,
picked up and it'll, they won't take mine and it'll
disappear.
grow. Well, it'll grow and it'll be huge and I won't,
Oh yeah.
there won't be any more room in the can.
Right.
So the structure is the note in my phone. And using
It's
notes in my phone is actually a structure for me when
mm.
I need to remember something that I know I'm not going to remember.
So this is a great little tiny example that we can extrapolate, but basically the goal or whatever you want to call it, the intention, the want is to have your trash removed, and the reminder in your phone is the scaffolding that supports that goal. It's the process, it's
Exactly.
the recipe.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I totally agree with that. I think there's many
Um,
other examples, but I think that's a good one.
right. Like that's a really simple thing. The other, something else is for the most part, on Mondays, I don't book calls and meetings in the morning and I go swim. I drop my kid off at school. I come back. I get my stuff together. I go to the pool. I swim. That's a structure. Do I miss some Mondays? Sure. But there's a structure there. And I put that there. And I put that there for a reason because I want the benefits of doing that, right? There's something I want. And that is the way for me to get it.
I like that.
We could go on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
Even I have a pretty much daily meditation practice. That's a structure. That's a structure for success for me. That's like you said, that's the scaffolding that holds up this thing that I want. There are benefits that I get that are quite tangible from my meditation practice.
And the
So
opposite would be just hoping that you'll remember to randomly at any time when it feels right during the day, just meditate.
yeah, and I still do that with stuff. This
Of
morning
course. Yeah.
I looked over in my room and I see my guitar sitting there, and I'm like, man, I should really pick that up. But I didn't put any structure in on it. I just said, I should just pick it up more often.
Okay,
And and dude, you know how many times I've said that to myself?
that's really interesting because this is a different thing for me. I think there's some things where we don't need structure. For example, I don't need structure with the guitar because that is something where it's more of a play. So it's not something I have to force myself to do. And without a doubt, every day, if not every other day, I get this urge to pick it up that I cannot override. And I play it for 5, 10, 20 minutes. So I don't need structure around that.
Right.
So I think
But
that's
in a way, now
you're going to say that's
I
a
might
structure?
actually tell you that you have a structure around that.
It's just subconscious.
Yeah, because when you get the
It's built
urge,
in.
when you see the guitar and you get the urge, you do it.
The structure is that they're there. They're easily
It's there.
accessible.
It's out. Right. And that is a structure. So there's a
Interesting.
songwriter who you've heard her songs. She's absolutely amazing. And she actually said she keeps a guitar in almost every room in the house. Because on any given day, one of those guitars wants to write a song and the other ones probably don't.
That's awesome.
That's a
I love that.
structure.
Okay.
I have friends who had publishing deals in Nashville, right? So basically, they're a staff writer. They're getting paid to write X number of songs per year. And so they would create writing appointments with other people. When you go to a writing appointment with somebody, you're probably going to write a song. That's what you're there to do. That's the only thing you're there to do. You're not there to do anything else, right?
It's a solid
It's a
structure.
structure.
Mm-hmm. I think of, just to kind of like throw something a little different in there, I think of like my space, and I think of like the other day I went through and I reorganized my entire office. I got rid of a bunch of just things that have accumulated, papers and stickers and just little things, cards that take up space. And even if they don't take up a lot of physical space, they just take up energy space or something. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And
I
so
do.
I think we all have
I
that.
do.
And
Yeah.
I have become more and more minimalist and practice minimalism because it feels so damn good. And I got rid of everything that I didn't need, and I organized everything. This looks good, it feels good, my office feels great, my space feels great. And to me, that's kind of how I think about all the other things we're talking about. Is I want it to feel organized, orderly. I want it to have a certain like design and feel where I can easily access everything that I need and there's no waste or
All
noise
right.
that interferes.
I totally get that, but you don't want to scare people, okay? Because that works for you, right? And I have some of that in
Mm-hmm.
that space. My space is a big deal. I we talked about this before we started recording. I changed my space around too, and I can't work in clutter. I just
Yeah.
can't. I can't
Yeah.
think in clutter. It's not so much about minimalist as things picked up and they have a place and they're put there.
Yeah.
I can do a little. I can do a little bit,
Me
of
too.
mess, but not for very
Me too.
long and not much of it. And I didn't know this about myself for a really long time. And I remember years ago, probably a little over 20 years ago now, 25. The first time I made a solo record, I was mixing it with this wonderful engineer in Austin named Mark McQuilkin, and Mark's amazing, and he actually built a room inside the garage that we could mix in. Like he floated a room inside his garage that we could mix this record in. It was so cool,
Wow.
but it was a pretty small room, you know, and we'd spend all day in there and we'd trash it. You know what I mean? And I literally would come in the next day and I'd have to clean the room,
Mm-hmm.
or I couldn't be in there.
Yeah.
And I found later I was making a record in my house in maybe 2006 or something. And, I'd have 3 or 4 people in there all day long, and we'd be setting up mics and moving things around and, playing different instruments. And every night when they left, I put it all away. I rolled up every cable. I put everything away because I had to live there and I couldn't wake up to that. I just couldn't do it. And then the
Yeah.
next day before they came, I'd pull it all out, plug it all in, get it all ready to go. It was an extra step, but it made a huge difference
Yeah.
in my ability to just focus on the work. So I love what you're saying, and your space and having your space be inspiring, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
is to you, doesn't matter. If that's piles of shit everywhere, that's fine. If that's inspiring to you, having your space be inspiring is a structure for success.
So I think that is an example that carries over into like the digital world. So my office,
Ooh.
everything has a space, everything has a home. So I know where the cables are when I need an extra cable or headphones or whatever. Like the I don't have to, which I did before I had this structure. I don't have to get frustrated because I can't find that one thing and it takes up, 20 minutes or I have to order another one or whatever. So I have that structure in place. And I think where this carries over for me is like projects, clients, tasks, all these things. When they're treated with the same manner, then I have that structure, everything is just more efficient and it feels better and things move versus like if my digital space and projects and everything and goals are all scattered all over the place, then it's really not gonna work out.
Yeah, I totally get that. And everybody's different, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like I know people who, when I look at their computer desktop, I want to stab myself. Like I can't find anything on there. Like it takes me an extra minute to just focus in on what any of those folders say because they're just all over the place.
Right.
Mine is not like that because I
Same.
can't.
Mine's perfect.
I can't. Yeah, I can't deal.
Yeah,
but that's
it
just
takes a
me,
little,
right?
Yeah,
And that other person can work fine like that.
right.
You know
They
what I'm
actually
saying? Like,
can't work the other way.
right.
Surprisingly
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter which way you flow on this. There's no right way or wrong way. It's just what way inspires you and sets you up to be
Yeah.
successful. That wraps another episode of The Subtle Art of Not Yelling, your home for creative growth.
If our words have resonated with you, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. It means a lot and helps us reach more creative entrepreneurs.
Join us next week as we continue to explore the art of quietly becoming a creative superpower and thriving without yelling.
Until then, keep nurturing your ideas, honing your craft, and shipping your work.
Because amazing things happen on the other side of finished.